So I met Cindy in 2011, and she was getting meetings together in support of Ron Paul. And she comes from Alaska and a long line of Republicans. She has a very political family. A lot of them were in office. And when she listened to Ron Paul speak, and she saw how the Republicans degraded him, put him down, that really upset her, and she started looking into it. She's just a very strong proponent of not just pro-life. She stands out at 40 Days for Life and prays for the unborn babies, but for liberty. And we have a lot of things in common. One of the things that we don't have in common, unlike, Cindy has patience and tolerance for listening to other people's viewpoints that don't make sense. And she's running in Whitefish, so this is perfect. So here's Cindy Dyson. She's awesome. Go get her.
Annie, you always amaze me. So much power in such a tiny package. I remember 6 years ago in winter walking my son to school, to the Whitefish Middle School. It was shortly after the Newtown shooting of 20 elementary school children. And I remember as I saw the middle school looming in front of us, just this growing sense of dread that became fear by the time I dropped his hand. I can't remember if he was still holding hands with me at 13. He held hands with me way longer than most of the kids, but maybe not at 13. I watched him go through the big glass doors in the front and really actually had to fight back an urge to rush in and grab him and take him back home just for a few days, I guess. There was no rationality behind that except my fear. Later, as he got older, he's 19 now, he would do more and more going out with friends to plays in Whitefish. They'd go out to restaurants in Whitefish, many places where people gather. And I realized I didn't have that same sort of fear that morning I did after Newtown and sending him into school. And I thought part of that may be that we hold our certain places, schools, our churches, as a little more sacrosanct and have more trouble when the worst things happen in those places. But I also realized that part of it was that I trust my community some. I know that in any large gathering of people in Whitefish, in the Flathead, in most places in Montana, and where I'm from, Alaska, is where I'm from originally. I've been here 22 years. That I know in such gatherings that there are usually a few people who have chosen to carry a gun. A few people in any gathering who have taken on that responsibility for defending those around them if needed. I know this has always made me feel safer, and I recognized when I was thinking through this that I feel my son is safer. Knowing that there'll be a few people in a crowded theater or church or restaurant, almost anywhere we gather, there will be a few people who are armed, almost anywhere, except our schools, our gun-free zones, almost anywhere except our schools. I want to ask you guys a question. When you're in a public gathering, a place like this, or so many other places that we come together in large numbers, and you know that a few people around you, maybe a lot of people around you in some gatherings, are armed, are you more afraid or are you less afraid? Less afraid. Yes, we are less afraid. We need less fear in our schools. We need less fear in our communities. Decisions made out of fear are often bad decisions, and fear brings out the worst in us. My name is Cindy Dyson. I am a rare thing, a libertarian woman running in Whitefish, House District 5. I want to say we have two other libertarian candidates here today, Sid Dowd and Sean Guyman. If you guys want to stand up. Yay, libertarians. I actually came to Libertarian thinking through a Republican, but a unique Republican, Ron Paul. So I know Sid, I don't know Sean well. I know Sid is a veteran and an ardent supporter of Second Amendment rights. I hope you will talk to him this evening. Anyway, I'm Libertarian, running in Whitefish, and I am not afraid to stand up to any provisions that would threaten our foundational rights. I am not afraid to work to reclaim the fullness of those rights where they have already been eroded. I cannot be bullied, nor coaxed, nor shamed out of my deep conviction that our right to bear arms is foundational to our freedom, to living with less fear, and to saving lives. Do not forget that 260 million people are died in the 20th century at the hands of their own governments. Little children, babies, school children. Sometimes when it's a number that large, most of the time when it's a number that large, we actually are more distant from it. The images when I took my son to school that morning of the 20 dead school children, that's a lot easier to imagine than 260 million. So I want everyone to just really imagine 260 million people in the last century dead by their own government. This is what fear does when it's allowed to fester, to grow, and to erode our foundational rights. We become our worst natures, and millions die. I am running I'm running with only unopposed. I wish I was running unopposed in my district. I am running with only one opponent in my district in Whitefish. He's a Democrat, a well-meaning, ethical man, I believe, but we have very different ideologies about how government's roles in our lives. I actually have a shot at winning. But I cannot without help. If you want me, you don't have to live in Whitefish, but especially if you live in Whitefish, please come talk to me. If you want me, I need your help to win. I need volunteers. I need donations. Beating back fear is neither easy nor cheap. Thank you.